And so what happens is that when you think of the word control freak, you think like, what in the world is that? What is a control freak? Why do we use that particular term, right? The control freak spirit is a spirit that has to micromanage every single thing that exists. Every person, every place, everything, every idea. It has to control all four of those areas for not only that spirit not only has you to control and micromanage everything that goes on in those four areas for that particular individual that's infected, but that particular individual who's infected wants to control every person, place, thing, and idea of everybody else's. And that's when the control freak addiction / control freak spirit gets out of control, right? And so what happens is that that particular spirit / addiction often works along with perfectionism, right? And that's due to compounded trauma and extensive trauma that has gotten, where the individual has been in so many circumstances, such as like children being in certain circumstances of either neglect and or emotional, physical, and or sexual abuse. And there's been so many things going on that's been out of control, right? And so what happens is that in order for that individual to maintain a sense of self-control, the control freak spirit is what takes place, right? As a coping mechanism, right? / dysfunctional pattern of behavior. Now, this particular spirit / addiction is a spirit of self-imprisonment, okay? It is self-imprisonment that is involved. And because what happens is that you can never run out of things that you can try to control. You can never run out of the number of rules that you create around people, places, things, and ideas for you to control and to give you a false sense of self-control. And in regards to not just yourself, remember now, this is also for other people, right? And so what happens is whether it's your coworkers, whether it's your adult children, it could be people at the library, it could be people in the grocery store, it could be associates of yours, it could be members of the congregation at church. It doesn't matter who it is. It can even be your spouse, fiance, significant other, your partner, whoever it is, right? It does not matter. When it comes to the control freak spirit / addiction, what happens is that there is never enough. It's never satisfied, right? And the thing that's so, I guess I would say, ironic about the spirit is that it promises you something, but it doesn't deliver. It promises to give you freedom, right? Having this false sense of self-control is supposed to bring you freedom, but what it does not tell you, what Satan does not tell you, he doesn't tell you that you believe this lie, right? That control freak spirit is going / addiction is going to make all your dreams come true, so to speak, like that show we watched years ago, Fantasy Island, where all your dreams come true. He does not tell you that all of your dreams are not going to be true. This is going to be your worst nightmare because it's never going to be satisfied. It's never going to be enough. You're just going to keep coming up with rules and laws and regulations, etc., in regards to how people handle other people, places, things, and ideas. This is what the spirit / addiction does not tell you, right? And so unfortunately, what happens is that this addiction / spirit is only a temporary false solution / temporary pain reliever, right? You got to keep coming back for more. And the more traumatic things that happen to you in your life, the more the spirit / addiction is reinforced. The more stress you have, the more problems that occur, the more what? Addiction takes hold and takes root, right? And why the addiction, right? Why does this take place in the first place? Because of the fact that when you had all those things to happen to you that you could not control, this addiction slash spirit enables you, right? Falsely, on a false sense, gives you a false sense of safety in thinking that, hey, I'll never have to worry about dealing with anything that I can't control again, right? So it makes you, it gives you a spirit of pride in a sense, because it has you to go on and take the place of God in thinking that you can control every little thing, right? Some things are within our control, but there are a lot of things that happen that are totally without our control. And every day I'm learning that, right? Even as I go to and from, and if I take public transportation somewhere, I'm waiting to take a plane, whether you're taking a plane or a train or a bus or wherever, you can leave as early as you want to, but guess what? You have no control over how many people are going to be at each bus stop. You have no control whether the train takes off on time or not. You have no control over whether that train's going to stop. You're going to have 20 to 30 minutes of a delay and a signal issue that's out of your control. And you could have left 3 hours early and things can still go wrong, right? And so what happens is that it creates this brokenness inside of you that needs to keep creating rules, 20, 30, 40, 50 rules, right? In order to keep reinforcing and keep giving yourself a sense of what? A false sense of self-control. And so what happens is these number of rules keep getting created and keep getting created and keep getting created. And then you start to feel a little bit of emotion, and then you just keep creating more rules and more rules and more rules. And so the difference, one thing, it'd be something if it was just for you. If you were just creating all of these rules and you were dealing with all this mess by yourself. It's a whole nother level and a whole nother story when you start creating these rules for other people. And that's where the problem lies. Not only have you put yourself in bondage, you put everybody else who's in relationship with you in bondage, right? Because Satan doesn't tell you this is an invasive spirit. It's a spirit that doesn't regard boundaries, right? It doesn't consider proper boundaries, right? It doesn't consider people needing a sense of agency, a sense of autonomy, right? That they need to create their own plans and not have you to write their plans out for them. It does not take any of that into consideration, right? The addiction spirit wants what it wants, and it gets what it wants at all costs until you start dealing with all of this trauma that's backed up, because it's made all these promises to you. It's not delivering on these promises is what the problem is, right? And it promises to set you free, but it's only doing what? It's only bringing you more in bondage. I mean, think about this. Anytime you can't drink a glass of water, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't talk to a friend, eat food, right? Without having 20 rules in how you do it. You got to ask yourself, am I infected with the control freak spirit / addiction, right? Anytime you can't gain or lose 2 to 5 pounds and you come up with 20 to 30 rules in regards to it, not only is this the control freak spirit / addiction taking over, but then you've also got some body image and food addictions going on as well. Anytime you can't stand to see someone make their own choices, to fail at something, to do something, try to figure it out, and without you stepping in, ask yourself, am I operating in a control freak spirit / addiction? Why can I not stay out of other people's business? Control freak spirit / addiction, right? There's so many things out of control, and you're thinking this is going to give you a false sense of self-control. Galatians 5:1 says, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. And how I know this, it took me years to figure out I was infected. I had to go back to childhood, deal with the abandonment, the spirit of abandonment and loneliness that was inside of me because of my father leaving me. I had to go back to childhood and see how perfectionistic standards were placed on me, right? Because of my parents and their own brokenness, right? Because I had teenage parents. So you might have to go back and do your work. The control freak spirit / addiction is one that is passed down from generation to generation. And how do I know when it tries to rear its ugly head now? My body gets pumped up with adrenaline. And then that's when I'm saying, whoa, something's happening. Where are you right now? I'm asking myself, like God asked Adam in the Garden of Eden, where are you? What do you need? What do you want? And how do you bridge the gap? And I'm also telling myself, when I feel my body getting ready to try to get revved up, release control over permission to feel. There are some feelings that need to be felt. And what you're getting ready to do right now is going to take the place of that. Because guess what? Up under all of that control freak spirit / addiction is tons of anxiety that need to be dealt with. And it can't be dealt with until you go and do your own work. That's the only way that you will be able to break free from the control freak spirit / control freak addiction. You've got to do the work. You've got to breathe and let in the pain, right? Otherwise, you're going to have 50 rules about the furniture like I did, 50 rules about how to sit on the couch, 50 rules about how to go to the bathroom, 50 rules about how to clean the bathroom, I meant to say, 50 rules about everything. And you're just going to keep on creating rules. And it's a safety net for you. It's a false sense of safety. It's a false sense of self-control. It's a false sense of regular control. It's a false sense of everything, right? And it's all covering up tons of anxiety that needs to be dealt with. And the thing about it is, it's one thing for you to already be in prison, but then for us to go and imprison other people with that, Matthew 23:4 says, they tie up heavy burdens hard to bear and lay them on people's shoulders. Jesus was telling the disciples this about the Pharisees, but they themselves are not willing to move them with their fingers. So if we're going to imprison other people, guess what? They're going to have to go to therapy. There's nothing we can do to get that off of them. Even if we apologize, they forgive us, we forgive them, they got to do the work. Now they got wounds on them. Remember, you are enough. Reclaim your power, soul, and identity today. And I want you to reclaim the power, soul, and identity of your calling. You do not have to remain infected with the control freak spirit, right? And with that control freak addiction, right? Grab your keys to the kingdom and get your inheritance. Again, I'm Katina Horton, the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. Until next time, be blessed and share the message.